Well, hi, I'm Chelsea from Idaho. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about our journey to become family minimalists. And some of the things that we've learned along the way, we are definitely beginners, but we've learned a few things so far, and I'd like to share those with you. And I'd also like to share with you 5 tips to start trying out minimalism for yourself to see if it's a good fit for your family. So let's get started. The first thing I suggest when starting minimalism and test driving it for yourself is to set up a quarantine station. And that means a bin somewhere, probably out in your garage or somewhere where you're not going to see it in your basement, where you are going to put anything that you declutter out of your house that is not garbage. It's not something that you know you're not going to need. It's something that you're kind of iffy on and aren't really sure whether or not you want to get rid of it right away. This way you can kind of test out minimalism with safeguards so that you don't feel like you have to throw everything away or give it all away immediately and then it's gone forever. And then with that, you need to set a time limit for how long those items are going to stay in quarantine before you get rid of them. Is it going to be 6 weeks? Is it going to be 8 weeks? You decide for yourself. For me, I think 6 to 8 weeks is long enough. If we haven't really thought about it again since we put it in the quarantine bin and it's been 6 or 8 weeks, then I think that we probably really don't need it because we're obviously not using it and we haven't thought about it since we put it in there. So the second tip that I have when you are first starting out with minimalism is to clear off your counters, both in your kitchen and in your bathrooms. And the reason for this is because we want to achieve visual simplicity so that you can feel at peace whenever you walk into the main areas of your home. Kitchen counters and bathroom counters often get cluttered with everyday things that we use every day. And it's really easy for them to have piles that get stacked or just appliances that are left out and makeup and hair stuff and all of these things that clutter up your counter and make it so that you can't actually see your counter, much less use your counter. And so before you can use it, you have to clear everything away, and that gives you just one extra step before you can actually be productive in your home. So that's tip number 1. Now, I am finding in our own journey that some people are more risk adverse than others when it comes to minimalism. My husband, for example, is not quite sure that he's 100% on board with this whole minimalism kick. This is really kind of my thing. I heard about minimalism years ago and have always thought that it was a great idea. And I am a declutterer by nature, and I do declutter often. But what I've found over the years is that I have mainly been reorganizing the clutter rather than truly decluttering and getting rid of stuff. I mean, I would get rid of a little bit, but it really wasn't a ton. It wasn't enough to make an impact. And so the first time that I started to give myself permission to actually dive right in and try minimalism out for serious this time was when I saw a video on YouTube from the Minimal Mom, and she talked about how they had gotten rid of 80% of their possessions and gone down to very simple living. And I just thought this was amazing. I'm like, how do you do this? Like, how is that even possible? This is great. This would be so amazing for our family. I think this is exactly what we need. And so I was totally sold from the minute I saw the video. Now, my husband, on the other hand, is not quite sure. And so we've had to make some compromises along the way. His big caveat with simplifying our home was to make sure that it still looked like somebody lived here. He didn't want to look like we lived in a hotel or an Airbnb or someplace that had no personality and that no one would want to live in. It would just be a place to stay. And so I totally get that, and I am totally on board with that. And so we've made a few compromises along the way. And so when we cleared off our kitchen and bathroom counters, we did leave a couple of things. We left our utensil caddy and our knife block back there. And those were the only two things that we left, but they are used every day for meals, and so it wasn't a really big deal to me to leave them out. I did, however, raise the paper towel holder to one that was an under cabinet mount so that it was off of the counter, because we had one that stood on the counter before and it drove me absolutely crazy, and we were constantly moving it. We also had a spice rack that we got rid of that we had since we got married, but we never used, and it was always just taking up counter space. And so I really just removed the things that we weren't using. My definition of minimalism really is only keeping the things that you like and use in your house and nothing else. So I was really into getting rid of all of the extra decor that was sitting on our kitchen counters that didn't need to be there, and really it got in the way of cooking. And so there are a couple of things that we have to keep still on the counter, and that's okay. But for the most part, we've cleared off our counters. In our bathrooms, of course, we have to have hand soap. My husband likes to have a light in our bathroom, and so we compromised with a little wax warmer that smells nice, and it has the light that he wants and does the trick. So it's all about compromise when you're talking about minimalism, and family minimalism in particular, because you're dealing with multiple personalities and different lifestyles that you have to kind of combine. It's just like marriage. In any other aspect, you have to compromise. And so I was happy to do that, but I do feel much better now that all of our counters are cleared, and it gives me so much more peace, and I just love how it feels to have clean counters. The next tip that I have for you is to simplify your wardrobe. Now, I've already done a video on this for my wardrobe, where I talk about the 10-item wardrobe that was inspired by Jennifer L. Scott in her book, Lessons from Madame Chic. And I personally have gone down to a 10-item wardrobe of my own, and so I didn't really have to declutter my wardrobe when I took on this minimalism challenge. However, the rest of my family had clothes that they didn't need anymore. And so we are slowly going through each of the closets in our house. We're still in process. This is a clip from a video that's coming out on Friday where we go through my oldest son's closet. He was the first brave guinea pig to test this out. And so, you know, if you feel like this is a bit extreme and you don't want to go through your wardrobe, don't want to minimize your wardrobe, it's probably because you don't really have enough options that fit you right now that you like. And so you're surrounding them with clutter to kind of give yourself a false sense of security by holding on to those other clothes, even though you don't wear them, they don't fit, and they just are not serving you well in this time period of your life. So I really highly suggest that you simplify your wardrobe, and we're gonna do a whole video on how you do that on Friday. So look forward to that, and we'll get on to our next tip. The fourth tip that I have for you is to simplify your kids' toys. Now, we have older children. Our boys are kind of out of toy mode, but we still have a 6-year-old daughter, and she is very much in toy mode. And so we have a lot of toys, and we have simplified down to just a couple of buckets, but it still ends up all over the floor in her bedroom, and it just drives me crazy. And so we have had a conversation, And she actually just had a birthday and has some birthday money that she wants to spend on another Barbie or two. And so we had a conversation about getting rid of some of the toys that she doesn't play with on a regular basis in order to make room for the new toys. And I think we're going to try to go down to one bucket only, which is kind of a big deal. It's a big ask, but I think we can do it, and I think that it will make us all much happier because it actually gives you simplicity of choice when it comes to toys. It helps your children to be more creative and to use their imaginations and to be a little bit less consumed with toys that they are so excited about when they get them and it's everything they ever wanted, but then a week later they're thrown aside and, you know, destroyed, and it just is not worth the money. And so part of getting rid of your kids' toys is a lot of guilt, and I'm feeling that a little bit as we get to the toys and as we're going through them, because we did spend money on them, and that is hard to get rid of things that you spent money on and that your kids were excited for when they actually received them as gifts. But I'm finding more and more as my kids get older that they want to be able to use their toys and be able to find what they're looking for fast and efficiently, and that means we need to pare it down. So definitely pare down kids' toys when you are simplifying your home. And my last tip for you today in simplifying your house is to simplify one complete room, at least one complete room. Now, I personally have completed my kitchen and my bathrooms. Those were the three that I wanted to tackle first because they get used every day and they tend to be the messiest. And so I figured they would make the biggest impact by simplifying them. So I have highly simplified those three rooms, and it has made such a difference. Being LDS, we have the opportunity to serve in the LDS temples. The temple is such a sacred place, and it's so quiet and peaceful. It's always clean, it's always beautiful, it's beautifully decorated, but it's just peaceful. And I think that you'll find that as you simplify your home, you will start to create areas in your home that feel that way to you. And that is the best thing that I am finding about minimalism on our personal journey, is that I am able to walk into my kitchen or into my bathrooms and know that if they are messy, it will take 5 minutes to clean them up. And if they're clean, it brings me so much peace. And I just love to be in there. And I think that you'll notice that people in your family will start to gravitate toward those rooms as well. The kitchen is the heart of the home. We gravitate toward it anyway, but we've been gravitating to it a little bit more now that it's been simplified. And I think that it's just because it's a little bit easier for our minds to digest the area that we're looking at and the area that we're spending time in. So I hope this gives you a little bit more inspiration. A thumbs up is the best compliment you can give us. I hope you'll subscribe so that we can spend some more time together to strengthen your heart, home, and family. And with that, God bless, and we'll see you again soon.